Good evening. Oh, that's still loud, isn't it? I'm so sorry. Oh, no. No. Yes. Massive technical issues right from the start. Apologies, because that probably broke a few people's eardrums. I forgot that I was routing the sound through the input channel for the guest today. So, yay. Um, but with no further ado, I will introduce my special guest. I should have, if everything is going well, and actually be able to hear them this time. I should have. I want to say a radoddish, but it's not. It's an odd radish. Welcome to WooTube.
Thank you. Yeah, that is your Smurf name to take whenever you'd like.
It will happen. Um, Cool. Okay, I can hear you. That's a good sign. There's a couple of people starting to join chat, so in a second I'll get confirmation that
Yep, I was able to hear myself on stream here, so
that's a
should
good
be good.
sign, isn't it? Excellent. I will just let these two know that we're good to go whenever you are. And then let's have a little while we're doing that. I will get the deck lists. So we're just seeing one game today, and it is pretty much a mirror match of what we played yesterday. So really interesting to see this from the other side. What are
Yeah,
your
I thought this was
thoughts?
very funny. I thought this was
Yeah,
very funny that we both basically submitted certainly not identical deck lists. There's some very interesting differences between them to talk about, but very similar. Like they're the exact same game plan. Um, the differences between the Reality Plus and the two Reality Plus lists is probably a little more interesting than the differences between the kit lists, just because they're so small. But
yeah. What's your take on the differences? So let's quickly talk. I think yeah. What's your take on the differences in the R plus deck? Because I think one of the big changes is in the code gate section, because obviously in your list you're on two fun houses and here we're not on fun house. How do you think that swings the gameplay here?
so Message Espo is certainly an interesting include and a good face check here. It's quite difficult to break, but in terms of actually keeping you out, like B plus Funhouse is really good. I was very surprised to see that you weren't on Funhouse, especially considering you had Ablative and B.
Yeah, so this is 2 seconds. 2 seconds. You chat about the deck lists a tiny bit more while I deal with something over here.
Sure, sounds good. So the main differences between the decks, this is mostly coming from London, who will be playing the last matchup, I think tomorrow or this weekend. Um, uh, London built our Reality Plus deck, so these thoughts are coming from him. Um, the main differences are the code gate section, which, of course, Ba just mentioned, being Funhouse, the inclusion of two federal fundraising. We turned those two slots basically into the extra Amani and the extra B, 1001, and the tag punishment. We're on two shipment from Bloodisk and Burst, and y'all are on one shipment and one uh, self growth program. So a little bit easier to punish on one tag, a little bit less consistent in terms of just closing the game whenever the runner has gone tag me, or you just have them float two tags like we saw what happened in our game last night. Uh, the other deck changes, the influence changes here are including Drafter in the Sentry slot over Starlit Knight. Um, I don't. We don't care for Starlit Knight at all over here, and we can get into why, especially if it comes up during the game.
Okay.
But
Mild family emergency. Apologies.
You're good. All right, you're
Uh,
gonna have to get going,
right.
or
Yes. No, I think we should be fine. Are these two good to go? Yes, they are. Um,
yeah.
if um, if all goes to absolute tits, then I will. I'll work on something. But yeah, I think we should be okay. Fingers
Well,
crossed.
just if you need to get going, that is just fine with me. Um,
Yeah,
am I able to also spectate the game here?
yeah, cool. Um, they haven't put it up yet. They haven't actually put a game up yet, right? I think.
I don't see one either, so
Okay,
I
cool.
think we're good. Um,
Um, all right, good stuff. So yeah, sorry, I kind of missed out on the fun stuff. So I won't kind of go back over all of that again. Did you talk about the kind of differences in the kit deck? Because I think they're slightly less. They're sort of kind of almost minor, but maybe the big one would be the double Parisia.
the double Parisia, I think, does probably add like 5 to 10% to this matchup. Honestly,
I also actually think potentially even just the double propeller might be a good thing because you you can accidentally get a little bit locked out behind pings.
yeah,
And they're one of the only things that really stops you early. So being able to just naturally draw a propeller easily
yeah,
um,
that
is probably
matters
going to help.
more. I think that mattered more against my deck. Reason being, if you slap down Propeller, on an early turn, you can get through all the ice in the deck.
Yeah,
Some of it is worse than others, but you've also got Mess and Chespo here in addition to the pings, so it doesn't guarantee that you get through. We were doing a practice game, and London's first move was just slam Propeller into the depths my ping Rashida.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh. So that's interesting because I'm on Into the Depths. You are, but so I guess they were playing my list.
yeah. We were practicing your list.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
and that set him up very, very well going into just the first turns of the game. That gets you through everything, and it doesn't quite work against your list, but we won't have to worry about that here
Very
because
true.
we're not running the into the depths. We cut that for the that was our cut for the second Parisia.
Yeah. Um, I I do like it. The one thing I somewhat wonder about is whether like the Parisia is good, but I tend to find myself I found myself when I was practicing like every time if I had a Parisia I wished it was an Aeneas informant almost every single time. But maybe
Yeah, no,
having
if the
two of
deck could
them.
run like 5 Aeneas, it would.
Yes. Oh yeah. I we had a quick practice earlier today, and unfortunately for Wowarlok, I think I got three Aeneas down about turn 3 or 4, and it just kind of felt like, oh, and I didn't run into a tomorrow's headline last click, so it kind of felt like that one was pretty locked up at that point. It there was certainly very
Yeah,
few outs. Um, but
yeah, absolutely. The I will say the this Reality Plus's Ice Suite into this particular deck, I think has a substantially higher chance of just being blanked kind of by Inversificator. Lack of Funhouse really helps here because regardless of where you put Funhouse, you have to deal with it.
yeah,
And you keep having to deal with it. Nothing solves it per se. Uh, versus here, you res Starlit Knight. That's a 5 res for 2 to break against Inversificator. Versus Drafter, which is 3 to res, 3 to break, and you really that's like game losing to let fire off a lot of the time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because Starlit Knight can be a really nasty early face check, and it's is technically a worse early face check than I think anything I guess the unsmiling. Well, I guess the drafter ends up being like, depending on what's in the bin, can be like pretty ruinous. But the
Yeah,
unsmiling
that
to
like
Reveler is probably the worst.
turn one certainly Starlet is the worst face check.
Yeah. Good evening, Augustus. My co-commentator today is an odd radish, my opponent from yesterday. Um, so we're playing the mirror match. Thought it would be the perfect person to co-commentate, as we unfortunately our chat post stream yesterday is lost to the depths of time. We've got your teammate London also in the chat, sneakily
Oh, nice.
watching from work. So London says that unsmiling is a worst face check for Knight. It's an like potentially true, potentially true. That's kind of hard to say. I guess like it's one less to res. Drawing two cards in this deck is probably really, really good. Two net damage is like okay, but I mean, if you like snipe something decent from hand, then that's potentially very, very ruinous. Um,
It's also a little bit better. It's marginally better going forward. It costs you a little bit less to res, and it costs one more to break, which isn't enormous here, but it is a thing. It does matter. This is one of those matchups I think where every credit ends up mattering. It's very easy to get in a position where you're like, oh, I have 7 credits versus 8 credits. When you get oppoed, you don't want to spend those 8 credits, sure, but like it's a whole lot better than floating the tag, especially if you've got Inversificator installed and you get hit with self growth program. Uh, let's see here. London sent me some notes of things to talk about here. What do you think about self growth versus either the other single tag punishment being market forces or just playing to shipments like we do?
I quite like the self growth because I did find that in testing games, um, I could float a tag against your other deck. Obviously, like if you have like all your
like you have a, I feel like
yeah, I know. Obviously, if you have all of your Aeneas informants. All right, Mrs. Do you want to say hello to everyone? Do you want to say hello? You're on camera. Right.
Hi.
You want to see? Look, here we are. I'll show you. Wait, I'm covering it up. Ready? There you are. Say hello. Okay. um, right, I'm gonna come and play with you after this, okay?
Ow.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
So we've got the triple install here from Wowarlok. Pretty standard start. The other standard start, of course, being click for a credit, throw down to something behind a piece of ice, usually Rashida or maybe an early Bologna that you want to push out. That was something that came up a lot in our practice games. We've got a wage workers on the table.
Early Aeneas seems really good here, especially for checking everything.
Yeah, absolutely. A Marilyn.
This is boring.
Alrighty, so we've got some ice. Bblum's already taken 2 tags. That's pretty wild. I might have missed that happening.
It was just the oppo.
Yeah.
They trashed the face down, one of the face down Maryland campaigns, while Wowarlok res the other, and then there's the wage workers in server one.
Okay. What are we reading server 4 as? Just a Rashida, or are we trying to
Oh,
sneak out tomorrow's headline or something?
it might even just be a early. Actually, does that work? Yes, it does. This could be a very cheeky um, crypto crash push.
It could be. You have exactly the right amount of money. You're not going to feel amazing about returning a Oh, I guess there's no Amani, but yeah, I think
It would depend. Threatening it here at the very least puts Ben in a situation where they have to spend some of their money lest they lose all of what they have
yeah,
uh, in the bank. I certainly think they need to clear these tags here. They don't want to lose this Aeneas unless they've got like the two others in hand. I don't particularly think they want to lose it here. Yeah, there we go.
uh,
One thing I do really like about your list compared to ours. Okay, there's the Ares.
ooh,
Good to trash both of those Marylands before that came down.
yeah.
One thing I do really like about y'all's list here is the two seamlesses. I wish we could fit in the second seamless, but the drafters take up that influence.
Yeah, there's a few more plays which you've got to be aware of with double seamless,
Yeah,
which just
I,
aren't normally an issue.
exactly. I think you guys are running double seamless for the same reason we're running double shipment, which is it just there are certain times during the game that you need to just be able to threaten this, and you need to be able to do that consistently. Pushing out a never advanced Bologna with wage workers on the board, pushing out a never advanced crypto crash, being able to score tomorrow's headline and trash an important resource. Being able to do all those consistently and being able to do all those multiple times a game without having to spend your spin doctors on them is very good.
Yeah. Um, so Ben's probably just thinking about setting up here. I don't think there's. I was going to say for a second there I was like he's not going to challenge this regolith, and then they put down a Parisia, and I was like, oh well, maybe. Um, I guess they're looking for
They're
a
just
turn where
setting
they're
up here.
just going to look to trash a few things.
Yeah, I think so. So how do you find that B1000 gets used without Funhouse? Like, obviously, you can't rely on it in every deck where you have it, but those together just form a very powerful combo where it just creates a server where it's not that you have to deal with this once or twice with a ping or a VSA on there. Uh, but if you're going to get into this server, unless you have Hush, you got to deal with the B1000s.
Um, so I'd have to actually ask Wowarlok, because I didn't realize that he wasn't on Funhouse until literally like today, I think, because he submitted his deck list. Um, we we didn't sort of work on them too much at this stage because we were like early stages of the tournament. We're going to play sort of whatever comes to us. So we didn't do a lot of sort of significant testing at this point. So I'd have to really ask him, because I was like, oh, I've only just realised that you're not on Funhouse. Maybe he was hoping to come against people where the VSAs are a bit more of an issue. Obviously, they're like
Mhm.
probably the worst ice in this deck against this specific matchup.
Yeah, they feel real bad, and there's a case to be made for not even resing them at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go potentially further than that and say there's a case to be made for not even installing them at all, because the last thing you
Yeah,
want is to end up with a server that's been moved uh to be two of them. Okay, it's always a threat.
Was that with the extra?
That was with the wage workers click.
Yeah. Trash daily casts. Interesting.
Yeah,
I
it's
wonder
that's
if that's going to make more over the game than
the
or that
Neos.
Aeneas will make. Yeah. We're seeing a very similar pattern to what happened yesterday with us, though this comes down a little earlier here.
Mm-hmm.
Though notably, it's actually the two same agendas that were scored rather than stolen here. Though notably, with the tomorrow's headline out of the deck and no beholds,
Yeah, this feels a
there
lot
is
safer.
yeah. So in terms of kit, do you have any thoughts on? I don't think it's going to matter too much in this matchup, but on Takobi versus Turbine.
So I'm normally I've been I've tra- I'm normally quite a fan of Takobi just because with Inversificator I can normally move stuff around and get good charging targets.
Mhm.
However, I did find in some testing games. Oh, okay, right. I'm gonna leave the stream rolling. I might just have to leave you to commentate for a bit, unfortunately, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to. So I'm just gonna leave the stream rolling so people can watch it. You can choose to commentate. You can duck out. If I get a chance to come back, I will. But for
Yeah,
right now,
all
I'm
good.
gonna disappear. So
Sounds good. Take care, and I will do my best to commentate this alone here. So we've got a double ice server 4 here, and the quadruple install from Wage Workers always feels great to get down. Bblum can check the board pretty efficiently right now with Aeneas installed. Getting another one down would feel awesome right now. Just getting check the table plus magnum opus is awesome. Bblum deciding what to do here. Possibly just checking server 7, or here's the real question: are you going to push server 4? And the answer is absolutely. So Messna Chest Foe breaks for 4 here, unfortunately, which is not enough to leapfrog with the Inversificator. It becomes much more sensible once you get Turbine down, but that's probably not going to happen in this matchup. I'd be a little surprised. No res on the second here, Amani and Crypto Crash. Yep. Fortunately here, Ben is exactly one short, it looks like, to prevent bouncing that just installed Inversificator back to hand. Spin Doctoring back Marilyn and Oppo. Probably hoping to draw and play an Oppo this turn would be quite good. Yep, looks like he's drawing for it if he doesn't already have it in hand. Maybe just looking for something to install in server 4. And then Oppo would be pretty good here, though unless it's right now click for a credit and Oppo, it's only going to be the 2 tags. Yeah, it looks like at most it's going to be the 2 tags here. And no tags at all. It is just going to be push out forward installs. Actually, London just reminded me, you can big Oppo for 5 on Reality Plus. I forgot about the refund, so that was certainly a possibility last turn, but did not come to pass. Looks like Ben is just getting more set up here. That daily cast is certainly still going to provide a lot of value here, though pushing something out in the server 4 could be pretty rough. Crypto Crash would be annoying. Bologna would be quite bad here if it was seamless Bologna. Wowarlok is in a quite good position as long as they can keep the tempo up, keep the pressure moving. But with a little bit more setup time, Ben could certainly recover before the last point or the last 2 more scores get pushed out here. Installing anything here is quite difficult, especially due to just the threat of it getting bounced with Amani here. There aren't any great Amani targets with R&D being iced. The conduit matters, but not for a while.
I might be able to do some surreptitious commentating whilst doing stuff in the background now. We will find out. I'd say the biggest threat right now is obviously there's always the danger now of triple advance seamless Bologna.
I think that's the real threat right now. That puts Wowarlok in a very good position to just close out the game. But Crypto Crash would be annoying here, but that's Bologna is the real threat. In terms of what Ben can actually set up here, they're probably pretty reticent to put anything down for fear of getting Crypto Crash, or not Crypto Crash, just getting Amani here. It would be great if they could get Maw down and start pushing Seamlesses and Oppos out of hand, but that's until you get that second Aeneas down, it's going to be quite expensive to do that.
Yeah, but one thing I find that's really fascinating about this is there's always that weird blend between like trying to spend your money so you don't lose it to crypto crash and then not wanting to install stuff so that it doesn't get bounced with Armani. I think if Ben had a way of dealing with the Armani Sinai, then maybe they'd feel a bit better. But the earlier Aries score here is actually pretty significant.
Yeah, they're one credit short, right, of being able to both trash the Amani and clear the tag afterwards, which is what we were talking about earlier. This is one of those matchups where you're one credit short of doing everything all the time. So go ahead and just checking server 10. It's a Rashida. I think you can trash that with a Parisia. No, you don't want to get Aries here. So whether you can afford to let that fire is very questionable. Those 3 cards are absolutely brutal. And a creative to end the turn off here. That should prevent any serious bounces. Let's see if we get the push out a Bologna here. Okay. Just a crypto crash back down to 1. And bouncing.
Gotta hate that creative after that. You really wish you hadn't played it, but what are you gonna do?
Bouncing. Yep. The daily cast to hand. And now this is rough. Mess the chest foe. Very much showing its strength here. One possibility to recover would just be pushing deep dig conduit, but that is not possible right now. You don't having the option there to just go tag me with a VSA or something on R&D would be an option right now, but it's just not on the table. Ben certainly caught between a rock and a hard place here. There's still one thing on board that they haven't checked, I believe, in server 11. Yep, there they go to check that, make $1. There's a B.
Yeah, I think this is really tough because the chances of server 4, one of them being a ping, is got to be super high.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. This might be the time to just go tag me.
it looks like that's happening.
Very cool. What's going on right now? Clicking up and dealing with the Amani. So unfortunately here, because of the agenda spread in this deck, Ben is going to have to steal a Bologna at this point to win the game.
Yeah, and short of, I mean, there's still overclocks left. Oh,
Power of self growth here, and there's the tags. So I'm guessing that bouncing the propeller there.
Yeah, that feels
Bouncing the propeller
like
there.
a ping here somewhere.
There's a ping on the server, and the worst case here, I think, is Starlit Knight on the server.
I think Starlit Night's fine now. I mean, the worst case I think is just pinging the server and a shipment in hand, right? That's
Yeah,
the
well, that is quite bad. Though the Starlit Knight does have the extra subs now due to floating all the tags.
true. Just that Wowarlok couldn't res it this turn, but I
Oh,
mean we'll
true,
be able
true, true,
to.
true. Yeah. So Bblum having some difficult decisions here. All right, just go try to get what you can from the hand as a regolith. As a regolith. Reinstall propeller, and let's push here. Go through. There's the unsmiling, gonna take a tag. Lose one, and is this the Rashida, or is it is a Rashida? Pay one from Parisia to trash that. Getting back to a sensible count here of credits. It would not be too difficult depending on what that first one is. I'm guessing a ping because of the bounce earlier. It would not be unfathomably difficult to push down this regolith at 9. I'm not sure you want to do that at this point, but it's certainly a move you can make. Click for 2 credits here. Or, no, actually, I think they're 1 short. Oh, no, they already have the propeller down. Never mind. Just click for a credit, run, you break ping, and then spend that 1 credit plus the 2 from Parisia to trash the regolith.
You're going to lose one to VSA as well, though. So I think you'd need
Oh,
to click
yeah,
for
yeah.
two.
1 short. Yeah, click for 2 and then run.
And I don't know, considering you're getting a tag, I don't know how good that.
Ooh, Cubon on that is another method forward. 8 tags here, Starlit Knight becoming a impassable wall. Though trashing this in server 4 will put them a little bit out of that range pretty quick here of being able to res Starlit Knight.
I feel like if I draw a Starlit Knight as Wowarlok now, I'm trashing that entire server,
Yeah.
getting rid of a Kaioban, sticking a Starlit, just so that there's no potential options in case this goes a bit longer than you're expecting.
Yep. Interestingly, choosing to draw there while Warlock instead of taking the click for 3, and is this going to be trash and install no trash? Just get it down.
I'm going to be having the words about that later. I feel like that's incorrect.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. A Diesel from Bblum. Do you just start tearing apart the hand here, hope to steal the crypto crash? Or do you just say if you have your out, you have it and start trying to get Diesel or not Diesel, start trying to get Bologna money?
Yeah, tricky. I feel like if there's an install I mean, Bblum's like one answer is going to be potentially to deal with the wage workers, although the two seamlesses are gonna potentially
Yeah,
like stop that.
mess with that for sure. Another possibility is, let's say they push something now in server 4. If you go like telework, gamble, rigging up Inversificator, overclock might do it. Or alternatively, instead of one of those, run R&D to swap that back onto server 4. And that is going to be at least something you can get through as opposed to the Starlit Knight.
Yeah, I think I like that as a play because there's very little you're not going to get great value from the R&D runs here. I guess potentially like yeah, and you need to get rid of whatever could be a Starlit Knight now. Is like the most important thing, or get it off the potential scoring server.
Yeah. 3 and push. Yep. Where are the Rashidas? All 3 are in the bin, so you could be the, let's see, it's not the Regolith. Could be a Spin Doctor, but I'm gonna take a just wild stab here that this is probably an agenda. Okay. All right, this is what we were talking about. Okay,
Oh,
that is
brutal.
probably it. Go get the B,
I like
and
that.
that is almost certainly game. Yeah, this looks like game.
There it is.
And seamless. Yep.
Dad, how do you get?
That was a excellent push there, but that ablative installing B was certainly the killer move there, and that is the case for ablative over Grafter as your means of recursion, just because it's
Yeah.
guaranteed at this point.
Yeah, and Ben would have to run this, I think, first click, maybe second. You run second click, you deal with it third click, then you run back. By that point, I guess yeah, it's like really tough, and to have potentially have to have 5 credits at the end of that run as well, like really, really brutal. Yeah, it's really interesting because this matchup. I mean, I think I mentioned yesterday when I told Axie that I didn't want to play my kit into your asset R plus deck. He just said you're packing all of the asset tech in the game, and you still don't want to play against assets.
Which I think is very funny because you kind of made the same decision whenever you banned Ob, right? Your Sable has all of the Ob tech in the world.
Yeah, it's got 3 flip switches. Yeah, I think we just didn't quite know. We thought you were going to pick Corp, so we were like ready we thought you were going to court 3 times, so we were really ready with our runner option, and we're like, oh, we don't really know what like it's all a bit much of a muchness when it came to the other way round. So that's fun. Well, London, the pressure is on, I'm afraid, my friend. It is a win or die situation for you. I think they're playing Sunday, if I'm correct. Hopefully, I can get some quiet time to stream that one. We'll find out.
See here. I think the both of those matchups look very interesting. I know London and I and Ben have all practiced that Lou versus RH a decent bit. I think it's a very fun, very interesting match.
Yeah, that one.
Essa versus Thule is going to be so good.
that's gonna be one to watch. Just for whatever happens. It's kind of like it's like a car crash TV, but you're not quite sure which side of the road the cars are going on. I think that would be a lot of fun. Right, with that, I better I better sign off. But AnOddRadish, thank you very much for joining me today, and more than importantly, thank you very much for basically taking over the stream for a good 15 minutes or so there. Very, very necessary. And any shout outs before you disappear?
Just to my teammates here, thanks Ben for putting up a great match, and then London, good job winning the next 2 for the future. But thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing what happens on Sunday.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully, thank you everyone for joining in the stream today. We'll hopefully see you all on Sunday. And with that, I'll say ciao for now.
Bye.